Hi, I'm Matt, and welcome to my latest gaming news video. I'll be covering recent gaming news as well as some other gaming related things in this video. I'm grateful for any feedback, so if you feel the need to do so, please leave a comment below. You can also like and subscribe if you're enjoying my videos. I'll now get into some gaming news from the past week or so. The first thing I will be covering today is the recent THQ Nordic showcase. This will be the vast majority of the video, I think. So this was a digital showcase, and they showed off a number of games, some of which I'm pretty excited about actually. The event was live streamed on the 11th of August on the THQ Nordic official YouTube channel, and it is a yearly event at this point, I believe. So I will now go over pretty much every game that was shown, with more in-depth thoughts on the specific games that interested me the most. And the first upcoming game that they showed was Alone in the Dark 2023. So this is actually a reimagining or a remake of the original 1992 game, which is a game I haven't played but I have watched reviews for it actually. It is one of the earliest 3D survival horror games, and I think one of the earliest like 3D games in general actually. You can still play it, and it is available on both Steam and GOG in case you wanted to take a look and see how it plays for yourself. But yeah, it's quite an old game. Got those polygon graphics from the 90s. But yeah, it's I don't know if it holds up to this day. I think I've watched reviews and stuff on it, and people seem to like it, I guess. But yeah, I think definitely a remake of it would be a good idea. So yeah, it's essentially this new Alone in the Dark, a remake, and they showed Edward Carnby and Emily Hartwood, who will reprise their roles from that original 1992 game. Apparently, the team behind the game, Pieces Interactive, I believe they're called, was inspired by the success of the recent Resident Evil remakes. So maybe they will feel like those games, at least from a gameplay perspective anyway, which I would say is a good thing. I really like the RE remakes. But yeah, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this one. I do wonder that if this new Alone in the Dark is successful, then we may see a remake of the other games, including Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, which is actually the only one I've had any experience with. I played it years ago. I think it may have been the PS1 version, but yeah, it was a long time ago. I can't really remember it. But yeah, the new Alone in the Dark 2023 will be releasing on current gen consoles, as well as the PC on the 25th of October. You can also play a prologue to the game. I think right now on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation. Next up, they showed off a new South Park game, South Park Snow Day. So this isn't another 2D South Park game, but a 3D one. The game is described in this quote: "Grab up to three friends and battle your way through the snow-piled streets of South Park on a quest to save the world." So yeah, it's sounding like some sort of action adventure co-op game with a focus on combat from the footage I saw. Not much was shown though, but it does seem quite different from the recent 2D South Park games, South Park Stick of Truth and the Fractured But Whole, which were yeah both well received games by players and critics from what I can tell. I've played neither of those games, but might do one day. This new game Snow Day is looking quite interesting, though there's not much was shown. We'll have to wait and see how it turns out. The game has no definite release date yet from what I've seen, but it's looking like it will be coming sometime in 2024, and the game is coming to PC as well as current gen consoles, including the Nintendo Switch. And now another entry in an older game series. So the game is Outcast, A New Beginning. It is described as a direct sequel to the 1999 game simply titled Outcast. I do know of this original game, but have not played it. I have watched videos on it in the past. It is one of the earliest, from what I've heard, like sandbox games, and I believe it's considered like a cult classic game. There is actually a remake of the original game titled Outcast Second Contact, but this new game is a direct sequel. Outcast A New Beginning is an open world third person shooter action adventure game set in a sci fi fantasy world. What they showed in the game looked good. It has a unique setting and story. Graphically, it looks quite good also, especially the colourful world and the flora and fauna that they showed off. But yeah, this is another game I'll be keeping an eye on. I do like it when sequels to like classic older games are made. It's interesting to me to see, yeah, just see how the game will differ from the original game, and it will allow a new generation of gamers to experience the series. And I'm not saying like the old game is unplayable or doesn't hold up, but I feel that not many people will go back and play games from that sort of 90s to early 2000s era. But yeah, I do enjoy playing certain games from that time, but not everyone does. But yeah, Outcast: A New Beginning doesn't have a definite release date, as a lot of these games you notice today don't. Um, but yeah, it is releasing for current gen consoles and PC. Up next is an arcade racing action game called Wreckreation. The game is kind of like Hot Wheels esque, I guess, and looks kind of similar to other arcade racing games. It has to be noted that it is an open world though, and looks to have a level or track editor built in. So there's probably going to be a fair bit of customization and the ability to create like your own tracks, along with a decent amount of cars to drive. The developers say the sandbox world will be 400 square kilometers, so yeah, that's quite sizable, especially for a sandbox like arcade racing game. I feel and sort of think that people who like these types of Hot Wheels like arcade racing games will probably like Wreckreation, but I will admit I've not really played any of those types of games, and I'm not that interested in them. I might try this in the future, although it's yeah not really my type of game. Maybe Wreckreation will change my mind. We'll have to wait and see, I guess, if I end up playing it someday. But yeah, it's another game with no confirmed release date or time frame. The game is, going by the information I could find, releasing on current and last gen consoles, as well as the PC. And the game, yeah, can be played solo or in multiplayer. A big game next, one that I feel is highly anticipated, and that game is Titan Quest II, which is an action RPG set in a mythical ancient Greece, as is the original game and its expansions. This is a sequel to the classic and sort of beloved, I guess, Titan Quest, a game which was originally released in 2006. I have a quick story about the original game. I guess my mum bought me a copy of it when I was a kid, but the family PC I tried to play it on, yeah, I couldn't run it at all. So it was taken back to the store and refunded. And I remember being upset because I couldn't play it at the time. Then I guess I forgot about the game, and yeah, then years later I saw it on Steam and remembered like, oh my god, that is the game I tried to play it as a kid but couldn't. So I ended up buying it and finally playing it sort of 10 plus years later. And yeah, the version I bought it's actually the anniversary edition on Steam. I think that's the main version you can get now, which comes with all the content. Yeah, I didn't complete the game, but I played a decent amount of it. I'm not sure why I stopped playing it, as I was enjoying it. I keep thinking about going back and playing through it at some point. But yeah, when I saw that a sequel was being announced, I was quite excited and yeah, surprised actually. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. A lot of people have been asking for a sequel, as the original is, yeah, a beloved game by its fans. But yeah, the sequel, Titan Quest II, has the same like ancient Greek mythological setting as the first game I mentioned. From the screenshots showcasing the game on Steam, Titan Quest 2 is looking rather incredible actually. Graphically it looks so nice. It'd be cool if they remade the original in the new game's engine. If you're into ARPGs, this is definitely the game to check out. I think a lot of fans will be very happy with this reveal. The developers behind Titan Quest are Grimlore Games, and they are the developers of the recently like well received Spellforce games. I haven't actually played any of them. Might get. I've been looking at the latest actually of their Spellforce games. Might have to get that someday. So yeah, hopefully they can really make Titan Quest Two into a great game like the original one is. Titan Quest Two is definitely another game I'll be keeping an eye on, and it is actually another game without a definite release date. I'd expect it to be coming next year, and it will be coming to PC and current and last gen consoles. So yeah, that's definitely a big game to keep tabs on. The next game is a survival strategy game, and it is Last Train Home. This does look like a cool game. The premise sounds interesting. I'll quote the Steam description. The Great War is over, the fight continues, command a legion of soldiers desperately trying to make their way home amidst the chaos of civil war. Lead them through the unforgiving wilderness on board an armored train. Manage your crew and resources and try to survive. So yeah, I do like the idea of sort of controlling a band of soldiers in a hostile train who are in control of an armored train. Sounds quite interesting. Well, yeah, but apparently they use the armored train to traverse like hostile landscapes and try and survive aboard, and until they eventually return home. I guess in the end, if you survive, it looks like the game will have a lot of strategy and resource management elements, and it is predominantly an RTS, so real-time strategy, going by the combat sequences that were shown in the screenshots on Steam. And yeah, I do like RTS games, though this is different from the older ones I've played, like Dawn of War, the original Dawn of War games, Command and Conquer, Generals, and Zero Hour, and then Supreme Commander with Supreme Commander Forge Alliance being the latest one I've played properly. But yeah, last Train Home is another game I'll be sort of keeping tabs on. I think it does look pretty cool, and I like the gameplay that they've shown so far. But yeah, again, it doesn't have a release date set, but it is solely coming to PC at the moment. But I could imagine it coming to consoles at a later date. And now onto a new game in the Trine series. So Trine 5, a Clockwork Conspiracy. I've not played any of the Trine games, or Trine. I'll say Trine, though from what I've heard, the Trine games are a pretty good series of games. They're sort of feature 2.5D environments and are action like puzzle platformers. The games seem to feature quite a lot of combat as well as the aforementioned like puzzles. The puzzles seem quite heavy in the game, or like quite a large part of the game anyway. And yeah, have RPG elements such as quests and skills. This new game looks rather nice actually graphically, with sort of a vibrant and colourful palette. I actually quite like the art style and direction in this game. I'm not sure whether I'll actually play it, but I might try some of the older games in the franchise if they go on sale, and if I like them, I'll probably give this a go. But I don't think that will happen anytime sort of soon, really. But Trine 5, a Clockwork Conspiracy, actually has a release date of the 31st of August this year, so it'll be out fairly soon, a couple of weeks, or just over a week, I guess. And yeah, it's coming to PC as well as current and last gen consoles, including the Switch. And it is also on a pre-release sale of 20% off, so 20% discount, I guess, up until release. But yeah, so if you like the look of it and want to get a deal on it, you can do that now before it releases. Space for Sale is the game that came next. Space for Sale is a sandbox simulation game with like colony sim elements by the looks. It actually looks quite cool, has an interesting sort of premise. The description reads, Space for Sale follows the journey of an intergalactic property developer on a mission to build habitats for eccentric alien clients. Discover the wonders scattered throughout new solar systems you bought on the cheap, build estates, and sell them for a sweet profit. So the developers of Space for Sale have also said that the landscapes of the multiple planets you can explore are actually procedurally generated, which is good to know and will likely increase sort of replayability, I suppose. There is resource gathering, building, and selling, and the Steam page also details that you can tame and research the flora and fauna you come into contact with for use as some sort of gameplay element and feature, I guess. Graphically, the game looks quite good. It is sort of a more simplistic looking game, akin to something like Spore, but it fits the sort of game style and feel quite well, I think. This is a game, I would like to try in the future, so I will be checking back when it releases and sort of after it releases just to see how it's getting on, reviews wise. The game doesn't have a release date and is currently only coming to PC, though I could imagine it getting a console release at some later date anyway. Next is a brief one. It's a DLC for the game Way of the Hunter. This DLC is called Tikamoon Plains. It is an African savanna themed expansion for the game, but I think there's deserts and other sort of similar African environments. I haven't played Way of the Hunter, but it does have positive reviews on Steam when I checked, so I might try it one day. The last hunting game I played was one of the Cabela's games on the Xbox 360. It may have been sort of ironically Cabela's African Safari, so a bit related there. The DLC is already out. It released on the 11th of August, I guess, during the showcase event, and is getting positive reviews so far. But yeah, this is not a standalone expansion. You will need the base game Way of the Hunter to play it. Now on to a new classic RTS, and the game is Tempest Rising. This game does look rather cool to me. I like the more classic old school RTS games, like as I mentioned earlier, Dawn War and Command and Conquer and Supreme Commander. If this is anything like those games, then I expect that I might enjoy Tempest Rising. Developers have said it is inspired by 90s and 2000 RTS games. Setting of the game is Earth, but after a nuclear war has unfolded. There are three factions, each with a unique unit roster, and each has a different way of sort of approaching combat and the economy, going by what the developers have said. It looks like base building is a big part of the game experience, which I do like. I like the combat side of RTS games, but I enjoy the base building of bases and expansion of like industry and military forces just as much. Maybe that's just me. It's sort of like in the Total War games, I enjoy the Empire building as much, or sometimes generally more so than the battles. But yeah, graphically the game looks quite impressive, especially for an RTS. Looks like you can zoom right down into all your units and things. But it has been a sort of few years since we've seen a classic RTS, I guess, or at least it has been since I played one. So yeah, maybe I shouldn't be as surprised, sort of by how good it looks. Yeah, definitely be keeping an eye on this one, as yeah, I'm quite intrigued by how it plays. Um, the last RTS games I've played are yeah, Command and Conquer's General, Zero Hour, and Supreme Commander Forge Alliance. Both games still have pretty sizable communities, and the mods for both are really great. They're still really good games, still hold up really well to these days. Run on modern systems absolutely fine generally. I think Command and Conquer Generals, there is patches you need to run it on like Windows 10 and 11, but yeah, both games still are pretty good to this day. Like really great games. Yeah, and so Tempest Rising is another game without a release date, but I'd expect it to come out towards the end of this year, maybe early next year. And it is only coming to PC as far as I can tell. There is a playable sort of preview of the game as well, but I believe you have to request access to it through Steam. Now this next one is another big one, at least sort of in my eyes, I guess. It is a remake of Gothic, which is a classic PC RPG which came out in 2001. The original Gothic is a cult classic and a very beloved game from what I can tell. I do have the first three Gothic games on, I think on GOG, but yeah, haven't got around to playing them yet. I've watched reviews of the first game. That seems like a very good game, especially for the time it was released. It's quite immersive, quite a in-depth sort of game, I guess. But yeah, I really like the look of the atmosphere and the sort of gameplay in the atmosphere is yeah, especially good. If you don't know about the anything about sort of Gothic first game, I'd recommend you check out Mandalore Gaming's review of the original game. It's a great review. I'll link it in the description below, or you can just search it on YouTube. I believe there are spoilers in the videos, but if you don't mind, then it's not a problem. I might give the first game a go before the remake is released, just to see how it plays for myself and how it holds up. But yeah, back to the remake. I had heard a remake was in the works for a while, and I believe there was a playable teaser for the game that was released at least a few years ago. Though this new reveal is the actual reveal of the full game. It actually looks very impressive graphically. Liking the gritty but sort of realistic look. It does fit the setting very well, at least for me. Um, and yeah, the developers have stated that it is, quote, a faithful full remake of the original Gothic 1, which, yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. I don't think they need to change anything story or wise or change the setting or world at all, really. So yeah, just like the original, you'll play as a nameless hero who is a prisoner within a mining colony. So yeah, this is a definite one to follow for me. I'm really liking the look and feel of it, and if it stays true to the original, which the developers have said it will, yeah, that's great. Sadly, the Gothic 1 remake is another game that doesn't have a release date, though I expect sort of end of this year, but more this, yeah, it could be likely next year, early next year sometime as well. And it is releasing on PC, as sort of expected. It was originally like a classic PC game, but also for current gen consoles, which is yeah, interesting. That'll be yeah, looking forward to that one. The final game from the sort of mainline part of the showcase was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. not much was shown. It was a simple teaser for the upcoming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. So yeah, not much to say on the game. Not much. They didn't really show a lot. I do remember playing one of the sort of TMNT games on the PS2, though I can't quite remember which one. All I remember is I really liked it. But yeah, not sure what this game, the sort of last Ronin, is going to be like. But I'd expect it to be some sort of beat 'em up, sort of hack and slash game. Maybe it would be like incorporate stealth into it and sort of among other related combat things. But yeah, I guess there's a lot you could do with a sort of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. There are robots actually in the art, so it's looking like it will have a more sort of modern or near future sort of setting. It did actually look, and it is likely, I think it is actually based on the mini series of the same name, which I haven't read. Those who have will likely have more insight than me into what the game could be. It does seem like a pretty dark story from the bit I read. There are some mentions online that it will be God of War like, which sounds good to me. I guess we'll just have to wait and see though. The game doesn't have a release date, but platform wise, it is releasing on current gen consoles as well as PC. I'll be keeping sort of a casual watch on this game, as yeah, it does interest me a bit. Especially the setting sounds quite cool. Going by what I saw about the mini series. That was the main sort of list of the games shown. There were some pre-show announcements, so I'll cover them quick. A game called, the first one was a game called Perish Exodus, which looks kind of cool. It's a first-person shooter. It reminded me of the Serious Sam games a bit. I think the announcement was mostly for its console release. Second game was Airhead, which is an indie puzzle platformer. It looked cool. The art style did look quite nice. Next was a DLC announcement for I think the mobile version of Titan Quest. The DLC is titled Eternal Embers, which I believe is already out for the PC version of the game. Then a game called Lethal Honor, Order of the Apocalypse was shown. This game has a very nice sort of stylized, I believe hand drawn sort of art style. It is an action adventure roguelite. Townsman VR was next. It's a VR strategy sort of god game, I believe. The announcement was for its PS5 and PS2 VR2 release. Next, couple games actually a bit more interesting to me. First one was called Odd Sparks and Automation Adventure. It was showcased during the pre-show. This game looks quite cool. It's an adventure game where, as the developer describes, you quote design automated workshops for your odd and adorable sparks to carry and craft everything, including more of themselves. Graphically, it's got a nice and quite unique art style. The game is coming to Steam Early Access at some point. And yeah, finally in the pre-show, they showed a Rat's Quest, The Way Back Home. The game actually looks rather interesting, sort of piqued my interest a bit. It's an action adventure sort of platformer where you play as a rat called a Matt, Matt, but with one T. Might check on this in the future. I kind of like the feel of it. It seems quite a cool game. No release date though. I believe it will release as a full game and not into early access. But yeah, that was my sort of coverage of the THQ Nordic Digital Showcase 2023. Had some interesting games, definitely one or two that I didn't expect. Overall, I think it was a pretty good showcase. And these next few games are in no particular order, but I think these will be my game picks from the showcase that I'll likely watch out for and maybe even buy. So yeah, Alone in the Dark 2023, Titan Quest 2 and the Gothic 1 remake. Although some honorary sort of mentions are Outcast, A New Beginning, Last Train Home, and Tempest Rising, and a couple mentions from the pre-show, so Odd Sparks and Automation Adventure and a Rat's Quest, The Way Back Home, both look quite interesting. So yeah, this video is sort of very THQ Nordic showcase focused, I guess. But yeah, I've got some other gaming news that I shall cover next. A bit of a longer video today, I guess. Maybe in the future I'll do a separate sort of showcase impressions type of video. But yeah, that's the THQ Nordic section done. I'll move on to first bit of sort of general gaming news. So that is some more sort of Baldur's Gate 3 news. So yeah, following Baldur's Gate 3's sort of massive success, it is now the highest rated game of the year on Metacritic. It has the highest combined critic and user score of any game this year, even beating out The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom just. So Baldur's Gate 3 has a Metascore of 97, which is based on 43 critic reviews, and a user score of 9.2, which is based on about 7,390 user ratings as of the last time I checked. But yeah, these are exceptionally high ratings, I'd say, and Baldur's Gate 3 is now in ninth place when it comes to games with the highest Metascore across all platforms. It actually has the same Metascore as the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I believe, when I checked. For comparison, the latest Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has a Metascore of 96, which is based on 145 critic reviews, and a user score of 8.2, which is based on almost 9,000, about 8,974 user reviews. These are, yeah, also impressively high ratings, and Legends of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is in 46th place, I think, when it comes to games with the sort of highest meta score across all platforms. This does include multiple entries of the same game, like with GTA 4 and 5, for instance, for each console. So given this, and yeah, there's multiple games, sort of the same entries and things. But yeah, I'd say Tears of the Kingdom is actually much higher on a game-by-game basis. I did check, and the number one game on Metacritic is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Has a Metascore of 99, which is based on 22 critic reviews, and a user score of 9.1, which is based on 8,190 user reviews. It's actually the only game with a map score of 99. I do remember playing it years ago. It might have been on the GameCube, maybe, and when they did like a like a Zelda collection, the N64 games, and maybe the older ones on GameCube, but that was years ago. Yeah, I can't remember it that well, but it's, I think, the only proper Zelda game that I actually played some of. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is doing exceptionally well, and I'm sort of certain it will win, almost certain it will win Game of the Year at this point. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Tears of the Kingdom won it either. But yeah, my money is sort of on Baldur's Gate 3 at this point. But yeah, I'd like to play Tears of the Kingdom at some point, but I'll likely be playing Baldur's Gate 3 before the latest Zelda game. And yeah, the next bit of news is yeah, so going from a few sort of amazingly well received games to a game that has sort of completely fallen from grace and sort of straight into the dirt, I guess. I'm talking about Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 is now the worst user reviewed game on Steam. I mentioned a few gaming news videos back that Overwatch 2 was coming to Steam, and it has now arrived on Steam, but yeah, it's not going so well. When I last checked, Overwatch 2 had a sort of apocalyptic, you might say, positive review percentage on Steam, with 9% of user reviews on Steam being positive. This is from a total of over 138,000 user reviews, given the given the game's only just really been put on Steam. That's quite impressive. So yeah, now makes it the worst reviewed game ever on Steam. The next closest game is War of the Three Kingdoms, which is only reviewed positively by 12% of recent user reviews. So that 9% of Overwatch 2 is, yeah, even worse than that. So yeah, this is sort of generally a genuinely dreadful percentage, and I believe it is because of how sort of bad Blizzard is seen in the eyes of its community, and because of all the sort of controversies and issues they've had with their games the past few years, which yeah could be having sort of a snowball effect. So yeah, Overwatch 2 is not doing so great at the moment, given all the issues and problems that Blizzard have sort of brought upon themselves. I think mostly like the sort of cancellation of the PV modes and stuff. I think something related to that. I know this was from a little, maybe yeah, a little while ago, but yeah, they are not doing too great Overwatch 2. So next up, some Rockstar and GTA news. So Rockstar have decided to acquire the maker of the very popular GTA 5 mod, FiveM, CFX.RE. These are the developers of that mod. They also make the Red M mod for Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar said in a statement that, quote, by partnering with the CFX.RE team, we will help them find new ways to support this incredible community and improve the services they provide to their developers and players. I will say I'm kind of surprised Rockstar decided to do this. Maybe it's so they can sort of develop their own sort of in-house or partnered version of FiveM for the upcoming GTA 6, which could just be rolled into GTA 6's online component. Maybe it won't have like a separate 6M name or something along those lines. But yeah, this is also quite interesting, as Rockstar and Take-Two had previously spent a number of years, and this is sort of why I'm a bit surprised, trying to halt FiveM's development, from what I read, including sending apparently a private investigator or a number of private investigators. I look forward to what will happen with FiveM and GTA 6 online. Hopefully Rockstar doesn't ruin anything, as I sort of think this could be a good addition to any sort of future version of GTA Online if implemented correctly. Hopefully they don't mess anything up and they do a good job. The final bit of news today, before we move on to the upcoming game section, is some more EA related news. So EA has, I don't know why I said more EA related news, just some EA related news. But yeah, EA, as it sort of has done so in the past, is shutting down servers for some of its older games. There will be at least 12 games, I believe, where online services will cease to be a thing. EA said that, quote, the decision to retire, in quote, the older games is never easy, but these decisions are necessary so EA can dedicate time and resources to newer, more actively played titles. Yeah, this doesn't feel much like genuine to me. Why shut down these servers to dedicate more time and resources to newer games? My guess is that these servers mostly just run with little input once they're started. I guess they might have a team sort of periodically working on them for maintenance purposes, but yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I'll cover the games that EA is shutting down the servers for now, and just to mention, these games will be shut down this year. So on September the 7th, Crisis 3 servers will be shut down. On October 10th, Tigerwood's PGA Tour 14 servers will be shut down. Restaurant Dash Gordon Ramsay servers will be shut down on October the 30th. On the 6th of November, FIFA 18, 19, 20, and 21. On the 8th of December, Battlefield 1943, Bad Company, and Bad Company 2, as well as Dead Space and Dante's Inferno will be shut down. I can sort of understand to an extent why they might shut down the sports game servers, but the others, especially the Battlefield games, I'm sort of more concerned about, and I'm unsure why they would do that. But yeah, hopefully EA allows third-party servers or allows players to host their own servers after these are shut down. Though I guess this is only feasible for the games if they are on PC, but I could be wrong. I think publishers and developers should have systems built into their games that allow a sort of trusted third party or just players in general to be able to still play these games long into the future. But I do suspect the modding community will pick up sort of the slack for some of these older games. But yeah, we'll just have to see. I expect the Battlefield, especially the Battlefield community, they'll probably keep those older games going, at least on PC, as far as I can tell. So yeah, I guess bit of a more concerning news piece, but yeah, we'll just have to see what the future sort of holds for those older EA games, especially the Battlefields. I think the servers should run for the older Battlefields for sort of however long as possible, really, and I do suspect that they will. So that's the sort of main news, the THQ Nordic, and then the other smaller news pieces done now. So we'll move on to the sort of new and upcoming games. We've got a pretty big title releasing next Friday, but first I'll cover some other interesting upcoming games. I'm also thinking that going forward I will provide screenshots or footage of the upcoming games in case anyone wants to sort of see a glimpse of the game that I'm discussing, see what it looks like. But I'll just add these in during editing. I may also do it with some of the THQ Nordic games as well, just some screenshots of them. But yeah, we'll get into the upcoming games now. First up is Chicken Journey, which is a sort of cool looking 2D adventure puzzle platformer with some nice pixel graphics. Quite like the color palette and the art style. It's very nice and very much fits the feel of the game, going by the screenshots and videos of the game. The world of the game is a nicely sort of detailed one as well. And yeah, it looks like there are a number of different biomes you will end up exploring, and you use your forest and your temples and things, and also sewers, I think, from what I saw. So yeah, it looks quite cool. But going by the description, you quote, jump, climb, and solve puzzles to find the answer to the ultimate question a chicken can ask. But yeah, so puzzles seem to be a big part of the gameplay. It does seem to have a sense of humour, and the marketing fits the game's look and sort of premise. If you like this type and style of game, then it's probably a good one to check out. I'll throw up some screenshots from the game. So yeah, the game looks cool. There's a demo, so you can check that if you're not sure about the game. Chicken Journey is releasing for PC as well as the Nintendo Switch on the 22nd of August. The second game today is an EA published game. The game is Immortals of Avium, and it is a fantasy action first-person shooter game being developed by Ascendant Studios. And it is actually the studio's first game. As the description details, it is a game that, quote, tells the story of Jack, spelled J-A-K, as he joins an elite order of battle mages to save a world on the edge of abyss. The game looks kind of cool, I guess, but it's published by EA, so it's best to be cautious as you don't know what they've mandated developers put into the game. Hopefully it turns out good, and hopefully Ascendant Studios were given the freedom to sort of do as they wanted with the game. Graphically, it looks quite nice, and it's actually on Unreal Engine 5, I believe. And the sort of magical combat is looking good. I do like the look of the first-person sort of magic and spell casting, but whether it'll feel good and punchy, I'm not sure of that yet. The game also recommends pretty high-end PC hardware for 1440p, 60 FPS, so it's probably going to be a pretty demanding game. Probably keep an eye on this one. That is published by EA, and you don't generally see them publishing games like this. At least we haven't for a while. But yeah, the game is Immortals of Avium, and it is releasing on current gen consoles as well as PC on the 22nd of August. Next up is Blasphemous 2. This is the sequel to the 2019 game Blasphemous. It looks very similar to the first game, so I guess that's a good thing if you enjoyed the original. I haven't played the first game, but both of the game look rather nice graphically. They are both 2D Metroidvania style games with pixel graphics. The art style and the atmosphere looks very nice in both games. The developers for the game are the Game Kitchen, who, as you might expect, made the first game. Publishing the game is Team 17, who have published a number of games over the years. Some have described the game as Souls-like, which I can see it kind of does look like a 2D Dark Souls game or Dark Souls inspired game, which I'd say is a good thing. The atmosphere feels pretty dark and sort of Souls game-like, I guess. So yeah, if you're into that, maybe check both games out, the original and this new one. But yeah, Blasphemous 2 is releasing onto PC as well as current gen Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo consoles on the 24th of August. As far as I can tell, it isn't releasing for last gen consoles, but maybe it'll come out at a later date for those. There's also a demo for the first game, and that game is also on sale actually at 75% off until the 25th of August. And Blasphemous 2 is also on sale, but only 10% off, as I guess as is expected, given it's not out yet. But yeah, you can pick that up. It's coming out on the 24th of August. Now, onto a game in a series I have played before, and that game is Ride 5. Ride 5 is a sort of motorcycle racing sim, akin to sort of the Forza Motorsport or Gran Turismo games, but with the focus entirely on motorcycles. As I alluded to, I have actually played some of the games in the series, more specifically Ride and Ride 2. I actually really liked both games, but that was back when I used to play a lot more racing games, which is a genre I don't really play that much anymore. I was really into racing games when I was younger. I do want to play more racing games again, but I'm sort of waiting for the next Forza Motorsport, which is coming in a couple months, and I would like to try the latest Gran Turismo 7 at some point too. I was thinking of going back and playing Gran Turismo 4 at some point as well. That's probably one of the best ones. But yeah, I will say I'm also waiting on Rockstar to announce a new Midnight Club game. I used to love Midnight Club 3, the dub edition remix of that game. And Midnight Club LA was quite good as well. But yeah, I think quite a few people are waiting for a new Midnight Club game. But yeah, I could be waiting forever for that. We all could, I guess. So yeah, I'm certainly not holding my breath. But yeah, anyway, back to Ride 5. The two I played, I really enjoyed, but I felt like they released them too close together. I think they're only a year or so apart. But yeah, I'm surprised, but I guess I shouldn't be that they are now on the fifth game in the franchise. I think the main improvements over the more recent games will be the bike roster as well as some physics tweaks and an increase in the graphical fidelity of the game. As far as I can tell, it's the only sort of modern racing game that focuses on production street bikes, a bit like Tourist Trophy back in the day. And until Polyphony Digital announce a Tourist Trophy successor, this may be the best game if you want a Gran Turismo-esque motorcycle racing game. Ride 5 is releasing on current gen consoles as well as the PC on the 24th of August. I may pick the game up in the future, but won't be getting it on release. Maybe by the time I decide to pick it up, there'll be a Ride 6, who knows, given how fast they seem to release these games. And the final game for today's upcoming games section is a big one, as I mentioned or hinted at earlier, and it is Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. A fairly highly anticipated game being developed by From Software. The hype surrounding the game is pretty high, given that it will be the latest game coming from Software since the sort of huge hit that was Elden Ring. So I haven't played any of the Armored Core games really. I sort of mentioned this in a previous gaming news videos. I think I played one of the PS2 ones briefly years ago. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for this one, though I will be waiting until it's released before I decide to get it or not. Likely, I'll wait until a little after release if I am to buy it, as I would like to finish off some other games I'm planning on playing. But yeah, August sort of slash September, I guess, are huge months for gaming this year, with Baldur's Gate 3, then Armored Core 6, and then Starfield. We've already seen how well Baldur's Gate 3 is doing, so hopefully Armored Core 6 and Starfield are great games also. But yeah, a bit of a packed month or so. And from what I've seen so far, this is looking like a rather good game, and it will be the first installment in the franchise since Armored Core Verdict Day, I believe, back in 2013, which was a sequel to 2012's Armored Core 5. So yeah, I'm imagining that fans of the series are eagerly awaiting Armored Core 6. Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon is releasing on the 25th of August for current and last gen consoles as well as the PC. I'll be covering how this Armored Core sort of 6 is received once it is released. Hopefully it's another big success for From Software. But yeah, it is looking really great so far. Just have to wait not too much longer, only a week until it's actually released and we can actually finally get reviews and play it. Be an exciting sort of time. This sort of between early August and early September when all these massive games are releasing. So that is the upcoming games covered. I'll move into the sort of a few picks of sort of game deals I've noticed. But yeah, generally these will be PC deals. But I will mention if they're on console too, if I notice and when I check. And I'll probably start adding screenshots or footage of the games sort of being covered. But yeah, the games deal section now. The usual. This will be games that I think have sort of good discounts, and I'll try and usually cover games that I've personally played, games I plan on playing, or games I've watched reviews on that have had a good reception. I think going forward, this will generally be 3 or 4 games, depending on what I think is or find or think is a good deal. I'm also thinking of doing a standalone game deal video specifically for events like the seasonal Steam Summer Sale, where I pick my top 10 or 20 games currently on deal, and also during similar large sale events where lots of games are on sale, or even for large publisher sales like the recent QuakeCon / sort of Bethesda sale, but that's gone by now, I believe. So, first up on the games deal section is Payday 2, which is a game I played quite a while ago. I think it was during a free weekend, so I certainly haven't played much of it. The main reason I include it is because it has a rather large discount of 90% off and is going for under £1 or $1, I believe, for the base version. PS4 version is also on sale on the PlayStation Store and is 80% off. In the Payday games, you essentially perform heists and robberies, and Payday 2 is a pretty well reviewed game with 89% of user reviews on Steam being positive. There are also a number of DLCs and expansions on sale as well, but not all of these are on as good a deal as the base game, unless you buy one of the collection bundles, I believe. Payday 3 is also on the way. It is coming out on September 21st. So yeah, maybe you could try this to see if you like it before getting number 3. As it does look like it will be much the same game, which isn't a bad thing, as these are well-received games. But yeah, Payday 2 is on deal until the 24th of August on Steam. I believe this deal is to coincide with the game's 10th anniversary, and it is also on deal on the PlayStation Store, as mentioned, but I can't find out when that deal ends. Next is a classic PC game franchise, and that is the Stalker franchise. All these Stalker games are on sale on GOG or GOG. I've played the first Stalker game quite a bit, Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, but not the other two, Lay Sky and Call of Pripyat. I remember, yeah, really liking Shadow of Chernobyl, but it has been quite a few years since I played it. I might give it a go again. But yeah, the long-awaited sequel, actually, Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl, is coming out in December this year, so maybe I'll wait for that to play a Stalker series game. I feel the Stalker games still hold up today, but definitely check reviews on them if you're uncertain as to whether you would like them. They are basically first-person horror-like games with RPG and survival elements, and they are set in a sort of very atmospheric depiction of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, a place where a lot of weird stuff is taking place, and you're kind of like a mercenary type figure who's trying to make a living exploring the zone. The Stalker games are on sale on GOG with a deal of 75% off. I believe that it's under $10 for all three of them until the 21st of August, I believe. Another GOG deal next, this time for Crosscode. Crosscode is a game I have not played but do want to someday. It is a 2D retro action RPG with pixel graphics. Art style wise, it's a very beautiful sort of pixel graphics game. It is quite a colourful game, and the world environments look rather vibrant and detailed. If you like pixel graphics games, then this is definitely one to check out. I do generally prefer covering games I've played in these lists, but this game has caught my eye a little while ago, and I want to play more sort of 2D pixel graphics games in the future, especially RPGs like Crosscode. It is also the biggest discount I've seen on the game, and the discount is for the PC version on GOG, GOG. It's available on Steam and PlayStation and Xbox, though it is not currently on deal in those places. Maybe wait if you want it somewhere other than GOG or the PC. I actually did end up buying it on GOG while recording this video, so we'll play it in time. And if I'm enjoying it, then I'll probably get the DLC as that has very positive reviews as well. But yeah, Crosscode in general, I've only really heard good things about the game. On GOG, it has a rating of 4.5 out of 5 stars. On Steam, it's also positively reviewed, with 87% of recent user reviews being positive. There is also a demo on Steam for the game, so check that if you want to try it first. Crosscode is 55% off until the 22nd of August on GOG. I believe that's it's about £6 or dollars. So yeah, pretty good price I think for that. So that is the game deal section done. Before I sort of wrap the video up, I'll do a quick YouTube video spotlight. So yeah, this is a video by Blue Rose Team, and it's showing their it's like a PS1 demake, Twin Peaks Into the Night. So it's cool looking PS1 demake fan game. Quite like the look of the PS1 demakes they've done for like Bloodborne and things. But yeah, this is based upon the Twin Peaks TV series, which I haven't seen, but I've heard good things about. So yes, based on that series, made in the style of a classic sort of 90s PS1 survival horror game, Silent Hill sort of esque, guess Resident Evil esque. But yes, this is the video. I believe Blue Rose Team are the people who are making the developers behind the game. But yeah, go check it out. I'll put the link in the description. So that is all the game coverage from me today. I will be publishing a tech news video tomorrow, so check back for that if you're interested. As always, feedback is appreciated, so go ahead and like or dislike and leave a comment. If you enjoy my videos and commentary, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back again soon.